Hi, this is Megan Paulus, and this is my take on visual literacy. I am a pre-K through 5 art teacher, and I use visual literacy in my day-to-day teaching. I want to start with a quote by Michael Rogers from the NBC article, the NBC News article. It's time to acknowledge that in a truly multimedia environment of 2025, most Americans don't need to understand more than 100 or so words at a time, and certainly will never read anything approaching the length of an old-fashioned book. This was going off of the fact that in 2003, 31% of college graduates can read a complex book and extrapolate it. This is really interesting to me, given the fact that I graduated in May of 2022. I disagree with his one statement. In 2025, it's time to put reading into perspective for the remainder of the 21st century. It is a luxury, not a necessity. It is so absurd to me that somebody would say that reading is a luxury and not a necessity, especially in our day and time. Everybody learned how to, most people learned how to read. This is like saying math is a luxury. Yeah, some are better at it than others, but that is why it is taught in school and why it is taught again until it is understood. We need reading and visual literacy in all subjects, including art. When I was a student in grade school, that I did struggle with my reading skills. I had to be held back in first grade due to my poor reading and writing skills. That made me really dislike reading and think that I wasn't that great at it, and that I couldn't be good at it. But that all changed when I had a really fantastic, motivating third grade art teacher that really helped push me and to do my best. And that year I did really, really well in reading, and I caught right up to my peers. Teachers of all disciplines must know how to create a classroom culture of engaged academic literacy. For student success, content area teachers are masters of the literacy demands of their disciplines and have a responsibility to share with students how to read, write, speak, listen, research, and think like experts in their subject areas. Visual literacy is a prominent aspect in the pre-K through 5 art classroom. I work to incorporate reading and/or writing into all of my lessons. I like to dissect artwork with my students and to discuss in small groups and then in a large group what we see in works of art. This can be as simple as putting an image of artwork up on the board and asking students what they see, how the image makes them feel, if they can break it down into colors, different shapes. What do you notice about the artwork? And they turn and they talk to their partner about it, and then we all talk together about the image. This is a great example of visual literacy. We are breaking down a piece of artwork up on the board and discussing it and dissecting it, and but I wanted to give a clear example of a lesson that I do that really emphasizes visual literacy. I do this lesson with 5th grade. It's my pop art onomatopoeia lesson. In this lesson, we dissect the pop art movement. I start with the original Batman theme song to get them hooked, and there are a lot of really great examples of onomatopoeias in that video. We then dive deep into the pop art movement. We break down the 2 Roy Lichtenstein artworks. I ask my students, what colors do you see? What shapes do you see? What do you notice about these images that stand out to you? Then we watch a short video on what pop art is exactly. This also has many visuals. This leads into the slide with Andy Warhol's artwork. I have my students answer the question on a scrap piece of paper. If you were a pop artist in today's culture, what would you create? They get excited here and they start shouting out Takis, famous artists, Doritos, movies, places they love to go, the whole piece of the lesson. This whole piece of the lesson is visual literacy. We are breaking down images, discussing what pop art is and where it comes from. We then get into the core content of the lesson after this, which is creating an onomatopoeia 3D speech bubble. I asked students to show me and explain how these sounds and words are made. They don't just express the sound, they show an action that expresses the sound. So like boom, a kid, it can get a little bit loud here, but a student will slap the table and go boom, and he'll be like, that's how you express the sound boom. Splat, a student will throw something that will splat on there, like maybe Play-Doh, will throw Play-Doh on the ground and it'll splat. Really, really show how the words are expressed, which is a lot of fun. And then after that, after that, they sketch out their own onomatopoeia speech bubble. I'm sorry. Before that, we talk about a comic strip. We break down the comic strip a little bit, circle the onomatopoeias, and then they start sketching out their plan. They draw everything in pencil, and we discuss how different shapes make different sounds visually. The word drip, for example, would have drippy, oozy shapes, while the word boom would have harsh, pointy shapes. The next class starts with the breakdown of another comic strip, and we get into building our 3D speech bubble. We finish the lesson with their own creation of a comic strip that has their onomatopoeia word in it. This is just one example where visual literacy comes into play in art class. It is used in every lesson for every grade level. Art really couldn't exist without visual literacy. I use visual literacy in every lesson. I show images for every lesson I teach. It is a huge part of the art world, and I'm really glad to be learning about it and to be reading about it because it is a huge part of my world, and I am very excited to bring it into my classroom even more after this course.